จงจะดับฟังเรื่องราวอันน่าเศร้าซึ่งกล่าวว่าเธอเป็นนักร้องสาวผู้มีใจกระหายหาความยิ่งใหญ่ที่ข้อเสนอได้รับการสนองแต่พรนั้นกลับคือคำสาปร่ำลือกันว่าเสียงของเธอยังคงอยู่ร้องเพลงในยามราตรีหิวโหยชั่วกันละอวสานได้ยินกันหรือไม่
Hello again, everyone. Welcome back to the lore Dead by Daylight. Today we are looking at one of the chapters that came out last year, the Sinister Grace chapter, with its survivor, Vee Boonyasak, and its killer, the Krasue. So, without further ado, let's dive right in. Burong Sukapat. The Krasue. Burong Sukapat's operatic rehearsals in Thailand were a sea of emotion, but despite tiring efforts, she was unable to become anything more than an understudy. What started as a desire to share her gift became an unshakable need for fame. Her childhood friend, Janjiro, was her biggest supporter, but aside from a shoulder to cry on, there was little more she could offer. It wasn't until Ma Lai, a fellow singer who had quickly risen the ranks, reached out, that Burong's fortunes changed. Ma Lai presented Burong with a glass bottle, a clear liquid within, and advised her to drink it, her tone deadly serious. Each night, another will inhabit your body, but you will be a success on the stage, like me. Burong laughed at the peculiar game. Even so, she wanted more than anything to believe its truth. She grabbed the bottle, swallowing every drop. In the following weeks, Burong's skin felt softer, and she found a depth in her voice she never knew existed. During her next audition, the director took notice, enraptured by the sound that echoed through the theater. As the song ended, Burong thanked the director before coughing blood into a handkerchief. She stuffed it into her pocket, choosing ignorance. Whatever was happening was working. She wouldn't dare stop it now. That night, as she slept, a soothing warmth dripped down her body. She bolted upright, hand fumbling for a lamp that wasn't there. She lay in a yard she did not recognize, covered in blood. Next to her, a ravaged chicken coop, feathers and gore staining the ground. She stumbled home before the city awoke to a new day. Under a scalding shower, she spit up blood, dreading the thought that this hadn't been her first hunt. In between heaving sobs, she prodded her abdomen, searching for where something might hide within. She called Janjiro, but couldn't bring herself to reveal the horrors. Instead, telling her friend she'd been restlessly sleepwalking each night and needed someone to coax her back to bed, Janjiro agreed to help. That morning, Burong awoke to Janjiro's hand, lovingly placed on her cheek. As she looked up, she choked on her cries. Janjiro's severed hand fell from the bed, landing on her disemboweled carcass. For hours she sat beside her friend's remains in a state of silent shock. Janjiro was dead, and for what? When she couldn't stand the smell of blood any longer, she grabbed cleaning supplies. As the sun set, a deep stain remained on the carpet. She walked through the streets until she reached Ma Lai's home. Ma Lai opened the door, and upon seeing Burong's eyes, immediately defended herself. She claimed she had committed no wrong. She had been cursed, and the only way to be rid of it was to pass it on to someone else. She believed that Burong, in her desire for fame, could withstand the torment and achieve what she always wanted. Anger stirred within Burong's. She fell to the floor as furious heat spilled over her. Ma Lai stared in horror, while Burong dug nails into her own skin, ripping at the burning agony. As she tore chunks of flesh from her neck, her entrails wriggled inside. Her head tore free from her body, a long string of organ dragging behind like fish slapping against the shore. A seething hunger took over as Burong's disembodied head lifted into the air. It swooped at Malai, ravenously mutilating the woman until nothing remained but blood, hair, and bone. Burong awoke to the mess, unable to find the sympathy to shed a single tear. She returned home, allowing her thoughts to swirl until the room filled with light. The phone rang. The director's voice cut through the haze that had settled on her mind. He offered her the leading role. Burong fell to her bed and cried, not from sadness, but from relief and elation. During the evenings on the Bangkok stage, her star shined bright. At night she fed the creature within, and together they thrived in a world of hunger and song. But the creature always wanted more. And, one night, it would present just that, a promise of meat, hung on hooks, dripping with tantalizing blood. And then there was Fog, a shape-changing killer, able to inflict survivors with an effect that weakens them to her intestinal whip attack. Her personal perks, Ravenous, Wandering Eye, and Hex over to her doom, helps her increase mid-trial pressure, spot injured survivors, and cause confusion to her whereabouts. Hex, over to her doom, a hex that plays on the paranoia of others. Creates a hex tone that curses the farthest generator from its location. The aura of the cursed generator is highlighted in yellow. When a survivor repairs the cursed generator for at least 5 seconds, Hex over to her doom triggers the following effects for 20 to 25 to 30 seconds. Transfer your terror radius to the cursed generator. This terror radius set to 32 meters grants the undetectable status effect. Once the cursed generator is repaired, the next farther generator becomes cursed. The hex effect persists until the hex tone is either blessed or cleansed by a survivor, disabling it for the remainder of the trial. From Salvation Ruin, be warned, death comes from all around. Giovanni Serratas, Fog Hill. Ravenous. The scent of blood is in the air. Time to feast. Whenever you hook a survivor for the first time, Ravenant gains +1 token, up to a maximum of 4 tokens. Once you accumulate 4 tokens, all survivors suffer from the following effects: causes them to scream, inflicts the exposed status effect for 40 to 50 to 60 seconds. Weeping Janavra's bloodstreams, the devil smells the weak. Fabro Baron, Janavra. Wandering Eye, bloody prey surrounds you, vying for your attention. Whenever you start chasing a survivor, Wandering Eye triggers the following effect. The auras of all other injured survivors within 20 meters of your location are revealed to you for 5 seconds. Wandering Eye has a cooldown of 40, 35 to 30 seconds. A drop does not satiate when a river is needed. Elliot Campbell's Grandeur of Samuel. Brong made a deal with some type of creature, and now her and it are as one, in sync, doing everything to feed its intolerable hunger. But she isn't the only musical person here, because along with the Krasue, we also have a musically inclined survivor. Vee Boonyasak, energetic drummer. The energetic Vee Boonyasak always loved exploring and getting into trouble, but more than anything she loved playing the drums. She began to teach herself how to play at an early age. She learned traditional instruments and styles, but really fell in love with modern rock. By the age of 18, she could play virtually any song on the radio after hearing it once. As a young adult, she went to a local show and saw Tick and the Kicks. She immediately fell in love with the band's scrappy sound. Tick's vocals had a gravelly urgency, and Kurt's huge guitar sound filled the room. The only problem was the tired old drum machine that took ages to reset between each song. But she couldn't get their music out of her head. With no records or merch, the only way she could hear them was live, so she followed them from show to show, learning the simple beats programmed into the drum machine. The band finally had their big break opening for a group of local legends. They sweated their way through sound check in the massive, uncooled venue when disaster struck. The drum machine crackled and smoked, finally giving up the ghost. They were loading into the van when Vee offered to play with them. Noting that the house drum set was already sound checked, with nothing to lose, they let her play, and the crowd was whipped into a frenzy. Even Tick and Crit seemed rejuvenated by her brash, loud style and boundless energy. She became a permanent member of the band the next day. After jamming for a few weeks, they decided it was time for a new name. Vee suggested they keep some of the old name, Axle Kick. They played their first show under a new name to a modest but enthusiastic crowd who had shown up just for them. Vee had her friend Moss record the show and post it online. Before long, they were getting buzz from around the world. Vee spent all of her off time making shirts and patches. Axle Kick released an EP online. Before long, the three were scraping out a modest living. When Tick showed the band a video of strange phenomenon at an abandoned opera theater across town, Vee's thrill-seeking instinct kicked in. She said they had to play a show there. Tick and Crit were immediately on board. A heavy show at a massive abandoned venue was going to be the gig of the century. The night before the performance, they went to scout the venue. Everything was covered in dust and grime. The floor creaked with every step. It was perfect. In the back, they found an old dressing room filled with the musty old opera outfits and cracked cassettes. With time to kill, they grabbed a couple of pieces from the costumes and threw one of the tapes on. What they heard stopped them in their tracks. Ghostly, unnatural sounds. Voices that seemed to dance around the room. Disturbed, they stopped the tape immediately and made for the exit. The next day, the venue was packed. Axle Kick sounded tighter than ever. The crowd was losing their minds. Sweat pooled on Vee's brow as she played harder and faster in the suffocating heat. Above the crowd's screams, she heard something else. The voices from the tape. She closed her eyes to block it out. Focused on the beat. The noise of the crowd faded as she lost herself in the encore. As the song ended, she opened her eyes and could barely see. She wiped her eyes, thinking it was the sweat. But it was something else. A thick black fog. The crowd was gone. Tick and Crit were gone. All she could hear was the echoes of her drums in the distance. She stood from her stool and strode into the inky blackness to find her friends. Vee Boonyasak is an energetic drummer whose adventurous nature led to a doomed concert. Her personal perks, road life, 1, 2, 3, 4, and ghost notes allow her to leverage repair work into faster healing, strengthen allies' abilities to repair and heal, and recover from exhausted faster. Ghost notes. You know that the best breakdown precedes the biggest build-ups. While suffering from the exhausted status effect, you benefit from the following effects. Causes your scratch marks to disappear 50% faster. Increase your recovery rate from the status effect by 5 to 7.5 to 10%. Ghost Note does not cause the exhausted status effect.
Let's take it to the bridge.
1, 2, 3, 4. A steady beat makes for steady work. While standing and idle, press the active ability button to start a performance. Lasts up to 15 seconds, empowers survivors within 16 meters of your location, and triggers continuous skill checks. After successfully completing the performance, empowered survivors performing healing or repairing actions benefit from the following effects for 90 seconds. Increase the chance of it triggering skill checks by plus 20%. 1, 2, 3, 4 has a cooldown 100 to 10, 100 to 90 seconds after canceling or completing the performance.
We are loud. We are heavy. We are Axe Kick.
Road life. Faulty amps, sweaty dives, broken down vans. Nothing makes you feel more alive. While injured or repairing a generator, regular skill checks have the following effects. Gain 1 plus token for great repair skill checks, gain 0 token for good repair skill checks, and lose 1 token for failed repair skill checks. Once you accumulate it to 6 to 5 to 4 tokens, consume all tokens to benefit from the following effects. Increase your healing speed by plus 100% until you stop healing. Roll Light deactivates after use and does not activate while suffering from the broken status effect. Roll Light does not interact with special skill check triggers by outside effects.
좋아. Remind me to teach you how to patch on pedals, great.
To some people, V might just be just a drummer. But don't let that fool you. She puts in the effort than most survivors on the roster. Which is a good thing too, because they're gonna need it.